Good morning. Good morning. I'm Tom Merrill, grateful member of this community. And last of you, take your seats and take this as a moment to greet your neighbors. See if there's someone you haven't talked to in a while. This time to turn off any cell phones. In fact, I guess I didn't bring mine in with me. Turn off any cell phones or other devices that are electronic and might interfere with our sound system and interfere with our connection with what's happening here in word and in music. So, welcome to the Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. We welcome you wherever you are on your spiritual path, and know that there is something here that will contribute to that path in the words, in the music this morning. Join us in the morning chant that will have the words on the screen behind me, and that will be followed by the spiritual mind treatment by the practitioner. Today is... it says Michael Hart, Reverend Catherine. To take you deeply into your center.
She changes everything she touches. Everything she touches changes. She changes everything she touches. Everything she touches changes. She is the weaver and we are the web. She is the needle and we are the thread. She is the weaver and we are the web. She is the needle and we are the thread. She changes everything she touches. And everything she touches changes. She changes everything she touches. Everything she touches changes. She is the weaver and we are the web. She is the needle and we are the thread. She is the weaver and we are the web. And everything she touches, and everything she touches changes. She changes everything she touches, and everything she touches changes. She is the weaver, we are the web. She is the needle, and we are the thread. She is the weaver, we are the web. She is the needle, and we are the thread. I'm held in love, I'm held in peace. God is holding me with every breath and every step. God is holding me. 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 I'm held in love. I'm held in peace. God is holding me with every breath and every step. God is holding me. God is holding me. God is holding me.
all that there is. One infinite givingness gives into form all that there is. It knows only its own nature, and that nature is perfection. And that pattern of perfection becomes everything there is in the world, everything there is outside of this world, everything there is in any universe of universes. And so whether I think of it as some kind of being holding me, or as the system of systems that pervades, creates, sustains, maintains all that there is, its pattern of perfection runs like a river through all of it. And so being a part of this, I know it runs through me. That no matter how things might seem in any given moment, that one life lives itself as me, and that always at the core and center of my being, that pattern of perfection, that harmony and balance are ready to express, ready to guide. And at the same time that there is that changeless something at the center of me, there is also the endless change, so that it is my purpose not to be a doing, but to be a being, to be all that the unique expression of that one life as me is, to be guided by it, to create in whatever ways are mine to create. And as I know this for myself, so I know it for each one here and in the sound of my voice. Each one is a part of that infinitely varied, always changing, unchanging perfection expressing itself, so that regardless of all appearances, regardless of any history, of any past idea, there is no power in the past. Change, variety, and each new thing, being, incident, place, vision, an infinitely perfect expression of the divine law of order. And so I declare, I call forth, I invoke an opening in consciousness for each one here and within the sound of my voice to open to this possibility in a new way, to know it so with such conviction that there is simply not room to experiencing anything else than that pattern of perfection expressing uniquely as them. I declare this opening, this release of all past, this opening to a new life and a new way of communing with that which is life within us. And I give thanks for it. I celebrate the willingness to be willing. And I release this my word to the activity of that law, which can only say yes, which delights in every opportunity to express the divine, to express that pattern of perfection again and again and again. And so it does. And so it is.
Yeah. Welcome to our Magic Sunday. My friend Robin Zickel is with me here today, and you know how much more fun it is to play with a drummer? It's a lot more fun. So we got together a few days ago and we said, we got to write something new. So we wrote a little piece called Heartbeat. Check one. Yep, we're here. Are we there? Okay, we're here. Can I get a little more on the monitor of this voice? Check 1, 2. Tasting 1, 2. So you have a really simple part to sing on this. Okay? Are you ready? Na. Na, na, na. No. No sha. You can say the sha inside yourself, but can you say that with me? Na, na, na.
There it is.
Are you ready? Harmonies in there too, I bet you'll find them. Heartbeat of the river, heartbeat of the tree, heartbeat of the fire, heartbeat of the wind, heartbeat of the river, heartbeat of the tree, heartbeat of the fire, heartbeat of the wind. Heartbeat of the ocean, heartbeat of the stone, heartbeat of my breath, heartbeat is my home. Heartbeat of the ocean, heartbeat of the stone, heartbeat of my breath, well, heartbeat is my home. Heartbeat of the river, heartbeat of the trees, heartbeat of the fire, heartbeat of the wind, heartbeat of the river, heartbeat of the trees, heartbeat of the fire, heartbeat of the wind. You guys are great, yeah.
That was a good day's work to write that. Good morning, beloveds, good morning. As is our custom, we welcome everyone who's here for the very first time or back after a long time, if there's anyone here in that category. We have a packet for you of information about our community. There's packets on both sides of the room. And if you fill out one of those little blue cards in there, you can be in our computer system and get to know what's on the calendar. We don't inundate you at all. And then afterwards, you can take that blue card back to the membership table and you'll get a present. So I really want to thank the membership team. They have made the choice that that membership table is up every Sunday. So that's where a lot of importance is placed on new family members. So anyone here for the very first time that would like a packet, just raise your hand. There's one right there. Welcome. Wonderful. Okay. 100 Years of Science of Mind is the theme for this whole year. So 100 years ago, Ernest Holmes started talking about this philosophy that was not new. This has been in wisdom traditions for as long as we have any record of wisdom traditions. I mean, back to the Greeks and the Assyrians and thousands and thousands of years ago. What Ernest Holmes did with Science of Mind was he took this esoteric knowledge that was available to the intelligentsia of antiquity and put it into understandable language so that the laws that everybody was using anyway could be used consciously. And so the theme for May, which we're finishing up, is spiritual laws and how to use them. Because what happens is that laws exist, like the law of gravity. You follow the law of gravity all the time, whether you think about it or not. You're following the law of gravity right now, and probably you weren't thinking about it before I mentioned it. But it holds us all on the earth. And so the spiritual principles that we talk about are also operating all the time. And if we can use them consciously, it is to our advantage. So, I want to draw your attention to this amazing altar, and actually there's bits and pieces of this altar that I'll refer to a couple of times in my talk. This is a Mary Cosgrove altar. And so there is a physical law about what happens to helium in a balloon, and you're witnessing it right there. The same kind of floating principle is in champagne bubbles, which is the photograph that Mary took. Is that amazing? That is such a great photo. So this is physical laws in operation. So another thing that we call a law is a principle. It's that we actually kind of use them interchangeably. A law works and a principle is proven. So the law that we're working with today, and the title of my talk is this: Principle is not bound by precedent. So any of you that have ever taken, how many of you have heard this before? Okay, so this is a good thing to think about every day. You might not think about gravity every day, but this is a really good thing to think about every day. Those words came to us from Thomas Troward in the book Creative Process in the Individual. And what it means, of course, is that just because something has always been a certain way, it doesn't have to always be that way. That's what it means. So anything in your life that is that you feel victimized by, where you say, oh, it's always going to be that way, by your saying it, it keeps it in place. It doesn't have any power of its own. So I want to remind you of last week's talk. If you weren't here, it's another thing that you've heard over and over again, and that is, it is done unto you as you believe. So as long as you believe something to be true, it appears that way. And that is the way, I mean, right? I mean, it doesn't happen the other way. You think something is the way it is, and then all of a sudden, without any prompting, you go, oh, no, it's not that way at all. That's where we get to, but it doesn't just happen that you like jump onto that usually. So the precedent is the belief and the experience together. That's the precedent. That is what happened before. It is a belief and the experience. And what happens is the experience reinforces the belief. So you have that belief again, and then you have the same experience. That's the precedent. So when we change beliefs, we have a new experience because of the principle that experience is created out of beliefs. It sounds circular, and it kind of is, but I really want you to get that you start the process with your beliefs. And if your life seems like same old, same old, same old, it isn't because that's just the way things work on earth. It's because you are still holding that old belief that keeps the experience in place. You are reinforcing the precedent of belief and experience together. Nod if this makes sense. Very, very good. Okay, we're going to unpack this today. So we're going to start here. Things are the way they are because. So the guy keeps doing all these things. He's trying to exercise, but he drinks a bit too much. He tries to meditate, but he eats the wrong foods. And he is reading about all of this stuff, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 4 and 5 reinforces the whole thing that he doesn't want. So things are the way they are because we have mental habits. So Deborah Welch turned me on to this great book. It's Joe Dispenza's new book. It's called You Are the Placebo. So this is what Joe says. As long as you're thinking the same thoughts, they'll lead to the same choices, which cause the same behaviors, which create the same experiences, which produce the same emotions, which in turn drive the same thoughts. So that neurochemically, you stay the same. In effect, you're reminding yourself of who you think you are. That's the precedent. You are reminding yourself of who you think you are. Now, this is very easy to see in someone else. So, right? Yeah. So I have a friend who says, who thinks that if somebody in the family gets a cold, everybody in the family is going to get the cold. So I've talked to her, and she says, oh, God, Jim came home with a cold, so, well, of course, we'll all get it. What do you think happens? And it's not just because of the thought. The thought drives everything. But if somebody in the household has a cold, you might think of washing your hands more often. You might think of going to bed earlier. None of that happens because she is putting in process the same experience. Belief and experience, the precedent. And the precedent sets the present, unless you change it. Okay, but we're not getting to change it because I have another example, a counterexample. So I have this pair of friends in Seattle that they just think everything in life is precious. That's their word, precious. And you think that might become cloying, but with them, it's so genuine. It's so genuine. Baby birds are precious. Their cat eating dinner is precious. Someone's new relationship is precious. The conversation they have with wait staff is precious. I've had many meals with them and we go, isn't he precious? And so what happens is their life is precious. It's gentle. It's innocent. In a world that could use more gentleness and innocence, because they look for and find preciousness, belief, and experience. That's their precedent. So, things stay the same the way they are because we look for the familiar. If we believe that men or women or teenagers can't be trusted, we look for evidence of that subconsciously. So we seek confirmation for beliefs that are already installed, and usually that's unconscious. Especially if we are reinforcing something that we don't like, you would think you would want to be happier in life and look for its opposite, but it's just what we do. And I'll tell you why in a minute, because it's not only our mind, but it's literally our physiology that supports the same things. So think about your political views, because that's something that a lot of people in this day and age hold very strongly, our political views. And so you tend to listen to the people on the news that agree with you. You tend to find friends and have conversations with people that agree with you. But you don't even have to go into something as fiery as politics. You're here. You are here because I speak what you already believe, right? It happens to be life-affirming and fabulous and wonderful, and if you did everything I said, your life would be better and better and better. But we don't go to those fire and brimstone places because we don't want to believe that or find it in the world, right? Okay, so is this making sense? Yes. Okay, good. Things stay the way they are because what we see is what we get. We get confirmations for the beliefs we already hold because that's what we notice in the world. There is so much information that is available to us that we cannot possibly process it all. So we process what is already familiar to us. That's the way it is. So I'm going to tell you again this story of when I first realized why I wasn't married at age 25. So most of my friends that I had gone through college with, and now we were in our early careers, were married at 25, and I was wondering why I wasn't. Because, I wasn't awful. I wasn't like, who would marry her? But I was starting in this philosophy. Somebody punched my new husband. Where was I? So I thought I was in this philosophy and beginning in this philosophy, and I thought there must be something in me because I'm not disgusting. So I actually tried to conjure being married, and it wasn't so bad at first until I imagined having a problem with my husband. And then this fear came up in me, and I literally was sitting in my car under a tree with my eyes closed. And so this fear came up, and I followed the fear back down, and what I realized was probably what my mom felt with my birth dad, that was a short marriage. And as a baby, I think I was in an environment that believed that women were the problem solvers and men were the problem makers. And so I took that in, and then that's what I kept creating because that's what I looked for. I looked for men who were cavalier or who wouldn't have a deep conversation with me or who blamed it on me or who said, forget it. Some version of that, not grappling. And so I then got to say to myself, is this a way that I would create a world if I were God? And no, of course, it's not. And so then I started changing the belief. And honestly, it looks like it's taken me 45 years to change the belief. But guess what? I did. So this is what I want to say about mind and body. So our mind and body keep reality in place. And this is from Joe Dispenza. And he's talking about conditioning. An idea made famous by Russian physiologist Ivan Pavlov depends on associating one thing with another, like Pavlov's dogs associating the sound of the bell with food after Pavlov started ringing it every day before he fed them. In time, the dogs were conditioned to automatically salivate in anticipation of a meal whenever they heard a bell. As a result of this type of conditioning, their bodies became trained to physiologically respond to a new stimulus in the environment, in this case the bell, even without the original stimulus that elicited the response, which was the food. Therefore, in a conditioned response, we could say that a subconscious program which is housed in the body seemingly overrides the conscious mind and takes charge. In this way, the body is actually conditioned through repeated past experiences to become the mind. And conscious thought is no longer totally in control. So, the precedent, which is belief and experience, the belief part becomes buried in the subconscious, and we don't even have access to it. It's just over and over and over that the belief churns out the experience, and the precedent stays in place. Okay, very good. So, this is another way to look at it. We create the same reality by having the same thoughts. The same thoughts like, I'm too old, I'm not lovable, I'm caught in the past, my kids will be mad at me forever, I can't get that job, I'll never find a husband. Those kinds of thoughts, which are usually underneath our conscious mind. These same thoughts bring forth the same choices. The same choices like, I guess I won't call, I won't try. I'll watch TV all evening again. I'll eat ice cream until it's gone. Facebook looks interesting. I think I'll do that again. Then those choices follow in actions very, very quickly. The same actions. Then the same actions bring the same experiences of loneliness or lack or limitation or self-hatred or something. And so we get to experience what Mary Morrissey calls, someone doesn't live 90 years, they live 1 year 90 times. The same, the same, the same. And when we have the same experiences, we have the same feelings. And then the same feelings, there's an arrow here that goes like this again. Same thoughts, same choices, same actions, same experiences, same feelings, again and again and again. So this is what Joe says about this. If your thoughts, choices, behaviors, experiences, and emotional states remain the same for years on end, and the same thoughts are always equal to the same feelings, reinforcing the same endless cycle, then your brain becomes hardwired into a finite signature. That's because you are recreating the same mind every day by making your brain fire in the same patterns. Over time, this biologically reinforces a specific limited set of neural networks, making your brain physically more prone to creating the same level of mind you're thinking in the box. The totality of those hardwired circuits is called your identity. So, in all of this, there is good news. So, this system feels inevitable, right? Once you're in the loop, you go over and over and over and over it. But Ernest Holmes says that the same law that has bound you can set you free. The same law that has bound you can set you free, and it is this easy. Instead of the same reality, look at that. We create a new reality. And all we have to do is start with new thoughts. So it is this is the system of creation, and it is the same. The ingredients can change from the same thoughts to new thoughts. It's like a recipe. I have this great recipe for salsa, and it says take 2 cups of the main ingredient, a 1/4 cup of some kind of onion, and then some tablespoons of this and that, and some herbs and spices. So, I have made from this recipe grape salsa, cantaloupe salsa, pear salsa, peach salsa, blueberry salsa. And I can tell you that the grape salsa is the best, but I can make any kind of salsa because the recipe is the same. You can pretty much make any kind of life for yourself because the recipe is the same. Very good. Very good. So now we're going to talk about very specifically the process of change. Oh, by the way, on the altar is a rope. That is the binding yourself in the same old reality. And then the helium balloons represent the new reality. And then the process of change can also be used in this way. You can, Mary has supplied you with a tack. And the first 7 people up to the altar can get a balloon and pop it and say, I am popping my old beliefs. Is that the best? Okay. So the first thing about the process of change is simply to say to yourself, maybe it's not this way. And I want to acknowledge you, if you do this, for the huge work it is. Because you just found out how the old beliefs are reinforced by your very physiology, by the highways in your physical brain. Make your life the same way. And changing it is a bit of work. And you start by really nurturing the thought, maybe it's not this way. And so just think about a deeply, deeply held belief that you have. Like many of us maybe came to this church having had the belief before that Jesus is my personal Savior. And then somehow you all got to the place of saying, maybe it's not exactly this way. Maybe I have more personal responsibility than giving it all away. And let me tell you, if Jesus is your personal Savior and you're a religious scientist and that works for you, great. That was the first idea that came to me. But you know what I mean. A deeply, deeply held belief. Just try on the thought. Maybe it's not this way. And you might say, oh no, I like it this way. And go right back to it. That's fine. But reality is very malleable. And it has everything to do with your beliefs and not much to do with what's real out there. So it's a huge step because reality looks so real. But you say to yourself, maybe it's not so hard. Maybe it's not too late. Maybe it's not too boring or too sad or too expensive. Maybe there's more than one way. Maybe I could ask for more assistance. Maybe I could ask for more support or more tolerance or more guidance. Maybe something could be different. Then when you really get that, wow, maybe it could be different. The thing that we want to do in order not to have a spiritual bypass, and a spiritual bypass is going directly to the affirmation while your subconscious mind is saying, bullshit, bullshit. You know? You know what I mean. You know what I mean. The beliefs have to go all the way through. So you determine the belief, like I determined that my belief that really set comfortably with me is that men were the problem makers and women were the problem solvers. And I had to say over 45 years, maybe this isn't the way it is. Maybe there's another reality that I can step into out there. And then, after you identify the belief that you hold, you create its opposite and try it on. And it will feel unreal. But let me tell you, all you have to do is change a couple of beliefs and then have a new experience. You prove that the precedent, that the principle is not bound by precedent. And you create a new belief and you have a new experience and you know that you are that red tulip in the yellow field. You only have to do that a couple of times and then your whole system gets really flexible and you can change easier, faster. Okay? One more quote from, we're not there yet. Okay, then, lastly is consistently choose the new idea. I can, I am, I surrender. And Joe says, this is crossing the river of change. Crossing the river of change requires that you leave the familiar, predictable self, connected to the same thoughts, same choices, same behaviors, same experiences, and same feelings, and step into a void of the unknown. The gap between the old self and the new self is the biological death of your old personality. If the old self must die, then you have to create a new self with new thoughts, new choices, new behaviors, and new emotions. Entering this river is stepping toward a new, unpredictable, unfamiliar self. The unknown is the only place where you can create. You cannot create anything new from the known. You cannot create anything new from the known. And that is why we are all here in community, to help each other step into the unknown and support each other as we do that. That's why we have prayer partners. That's why we have practitioners, in order to help us when we courageously make this step into the unknown. So just to conclude, great ideas to choose. And I love this because it's like that tiger is looking at that butterfly in an entirely new way. Like maybe he never even noticed butterflies before. And it's like, wow, what an interesting thing this is. So I am deserving of good. Say that. And that means all the love, all the joy, all the abundance, all the fulfillment that you can hold. I am capable of accomplishing my life's purpose.
I am capable of accomplishing my life's purpose.
Life is for me in all instances.
Life is for me in all instances.
And then just closing that little meditation with my specific new belief is, if you do this, if you repeated these 4 statements, like, I don't know, like at mealtime and then at bedtime, 4 times a day, you would begin to change your physiology. That's it. So, in conclusion, I have another treat for you today. If you were here last week, I quoted from a book that I was releasing, and Julie Roby got it. So I have another one. It's even similar in that the connection to this quote and my talk is iffy. But I want you to, whoever this is going to, I want you to love it. This is a little tiny book called Let Your Mind Alone. And it is by James Thurber. Now, some of you are old enough to know who James Thurber is. And so James Thurber was a humorist who wrote many books, but his humor is very droll. And there's no belly laughs in them whatsoever. And there's a lot of irony. And I know that some of you really like irony in your spiritual work. Nothing wrong with that. You know what helps you change your mind. And so if ironic sentiments helps, this is for you. What's really wonderful about this little book is it says Armed Services Edition. This book was produced in 1935 specifically for the armed forces in World War II. And it is little tiny print and little light, way tender pages. So I've had it in my family. Aunt Helen has her name in it, so it's from Aunt Helen and me. So let me just give you this quote that has something very tangential to do with what I talked about. Your mind may not be much good, says the learned Dr. James Thurber, but it's all you've got to misunderstand with. Now James Thurber comes forward with a cheering word for the defeated. Let your mind alone, he counsels us. The old-fashioned technique of thinking was good enough for our fathers and should be good enough for us. The undisciplined mind, as against the disciplined or streamlined mind, has distinct and comforting advantages. And so, of course, he talks a lot about the disciplined and streamlined mind and tells us, never mind. So, who wants to take this home? Okay, back there. Come right on up here. It's the one I saw first. Oh, okay, there you go. Yay. Mwah. Okay, let us turn within. Turn within to that producer of reality on the inside. And as practitioner Michael said, as she prayed, first of all, I want to just say, as my eyes are closed, wasn't that cute that Reverend Catherine was going to be our prayer, but then Michael was our prayer. Right after we sang the song, she changes everything she touches. I like that. So Michael said, whether we think of this allness as a being who loves us or a system of systems that makes sense, this prayer is for both. This inner work acknowledges both. that there is a way that the infinite lover has given us to change our reality to the better, and has given us the power to do it. Has given us the same law that bound us can set us free. Has given us the system of systems that as we believe, so it is done unto us. And so perhaps it is that part of our life purpose is to change just one belief of our family that impoverished them and impoverishes us, so that the healing can move forward through the generations and back as well. For I believe our ancestors applaud us as we heal. And so may each one of us find a belief that changes our life for the better and the world for the better. And so it is.
Trouble most every day. Now I'm ready to write a new play. If you feel it too, let me hear you say, I'm ready to let go. I'm ready to let go. I'm ready to let go into the arms of spirit, into the arms of spirit. I've been on this ride for oh so many years. All the rough water on this river of tears, thinking I can do it myself, I can push through the fear. Now when I surrender, I see it's all smoke and mirrors. I'm ready to let go. I'm ready to let go. I'm ready to let go. Into the arms of spirit, into the arms of spirit. Well, it seems like forever that I've been holding on, wishing for things to get better with each new dawn. As the years roll by, it took some time for me to know, well, the only way to get there, I have to let go. I'm ready to let go. I'm ready to let go. I'm ready to let go. Into the arms of Spirit. To the arms of Spirit. Into the arms of Spirit. To the arms of Spirit.
Will the ushers please come forward? And thank you for so much good thoughts today. And thank you for the music and the heartbeat. You're great, both of you. Anyway, all I got today is life is totally about change. And I'm here to accomplish my calling, which is asking you all to help join us in sharing our goods. So will the ushers collect? Besides other things.
I'm here to remind you of your magnificence, to help you awake to all the wonder that you are. I long to show you all the things you're worthy of. I'm here to remind you how much you're truly loved. I'm here to remind you of your magnificence, to help you awake to all the wonder that you are. Long to show you all the joy you're worthy of. I'm here to remind you how much you're truly loved.
This gift I give is God in action. I now send it forth to bless and prosper. I know that everywhere it goes, it's creating a world living in love. One heart and one thought at a time.
And so
It
it
is.
is. Thank you. So, now I would like to offer gratitude, first of all, to Jim Homa for setup and takedown. Jim is here. I think maybe he's already on the way to the workshop, but he's so great. He comes here at dark 100 and then stays until the afternoon putting all this stuff away. So we thank Jim Homa. I want to thank Rick for sound, and Ron for camera, and Tom for streaming and archiving. Our system is iffy on the streaming, but pretty good on the archiving. Mary for PowerPoint. And as usual, finding such fabulous images makes my talk really easy. And thank you to the practitioners, and thank you to Mary on the altar, and Bodie and Robin Zickel on sound, and our new perennial membership table and the membership team. So that's gratitude. And then the announcements are Women's Spirit Rising is open for registration now, and that is online. And then next, our video system has been really well serviced as far as money coming in. We could use a few more donations, and in that clear box over there is where you put your check. Just make it out to the Golden Gate Center with a video system on the memo line. Next, it's time for you Geminis to be celebrated, you little 2-in-1 people. And so if this is your birthday month and you would like a gift from your practitioners, you just go over and pick up a spiritual checkup sheet, fill it out, call somebody on the back, and you get a free checkup. Then the Power of Spiritual Mind Treatment Workshop with Leslie Giannetti on June 10th is coming up. This is backed by popular demand twice. So that means this is the third time she's taught it. People love it, and you can sign up for that at the information table. And then my workshops, today is spoon bending. If you know someone who has dropped out of that workshop, please do show up. It's at 12:30 at the Learning Center. It'll be really a lot of fun, and you all will create miracles. And then you can sign up today for conscious conclusions, how to do that in every area of your life. If you are dragging along things from the past, that is a sign up at the information or the education table. Also on the back is these information cards, which is how to get a hold of me after I retire. I have a new email and things that are already in the works. So if you want to keep track of me as I want to keep track of you, please do send me an email to my new email address, and those cards are in the back. So with that in mind, I would just like to bless all of you and know that not only is life for you, but your mind is for you. Your mind that can create a life of your dreams. And always, Spirit is your guide. So if you would now just internalize that blessing, stand for our affirmation and closing song. Right up here, I am an entirely new creation, born of joy, fulfillment, and wholeness. I release the disempowered beliefs of yesterday and step into the new me, inspired, sustained, and forever partnered with my loving source.